back to the Unleashing. I'm your host, Jared Beeler. I didn't make a video last weekend because, I figured I put out 2 the weekend before, so I just took it easy. But I wanted to get something out today, and I figured I'd talk on a topic that's pretty important. And I'm going to try and lay this out the best way I can. I got a few stories that I can go along with it to kind of prove my point and stuff. But on a little side note before we get started, I'm loving my job. My new job is amazing, and it's totally an answer to prayer. And it's the job I've been looking for since 2014, before I even set off on the quest. And I love my coworkers and stuff like that, and my partner that I'm working with, an older gentleman. Him and his wife decided to follow Jesus and ask him into their hearts, and I couldn't be more happy for him. So that's really awesome. And it's just an answer to prayer, big time. So that's really cool. It's got me busy, but I really like the work that I'm doing. It's fun being a mechanic again and stuff. But I'm gonna try and dive into this topic here and talk about it. Crazy enough, I just watched a video just a few seconds ago that just popped up on my YouTube feed, and I figured I'd watch it, and it's kind of interesting because it's exactly the topic that I'm going to be talking about. And this girl was talking about her alien encounters and stuff like that, astral projection, and a few other things. And her level of discernment was extremely high, and I find this. There's times when I'm just like, this is interesting. The people that should have it, walking with God and things like that, they don't. And people that are in the world that shouldn't have it will. And I find that interesting on certain occasions. And I don't know why exactly that is, but I do know that there's a balance between things, and God watches people. And he will fight for them and to bring them into his kingdom. And so I don't always understand the full picture, because he can look at the whole timeline, and I can't do that. I can look into things and stuff, but I can't look down this line of time the way he can from the end to the beginning and stuff. This girl in this video, she was talking about seeing beings and stuff like that, reptilians and stuff, and how it's kind of like that movie They Live, and some of the astral projections she started having and different things like that and stuff like that. But she knew what was going on, and she knew that they could hear thoughts and things like that. Now, this is something I also know as well. I told you guys a couple years ago, or last year, when I was coming out of the theater, I saw that UFO and it was hovering over town. And when I looked up at it, it knew who I was. I could feel it trying to connect with my mind. And I thought this was extremely interesting, but at the same time, it kept its distance. It knew who I was, and it's not who I am. It's who's inside of me, the Holy Spirit, God, something far more powerful that sends them running for their lives, okay? Well, this girl having these encounters, she might have the discernment to know this sort of thing, but they're showing up in her room and at the end of her bed and stuff like that, like alien abductions. And so having the knowledge and stuff like that, it's not going to do you any good when you're susceptible to the dangers of the dark side. And when you are saved, you're a Christian, you do not have this. You are packing the most power possible. You have God with you, and they run for their lives if you know how to use it, which is to walk close with Him. And I find this interesting because this is exactly what I'm going to be talking about in this discussion. So many times in life, we see it all the time. You take a mixture of things, whether it's ice cream and you put a different thing in there, like vanilla, and you throw in Reese's cups, or you have a milkshake and you dip your French fries in it, or anything along the lines. Usually in life, you mix things and it makes it better, okay? And that's what the world will teach you in things as well. This is one of the reasons that they can push for the one world religion that they'll eventually have during the tribulation, that the false prophet will rule from, okay? But there is one time when you don't do this, okay? When there is no mixture, and if you do, it will make the situation worse. And that is when it comes to God. God, what he has, what he teaches, his light, is the purest, best form that there possibly is. And it's the whitest, it's the cleanest, it's the most powerful, okay? If you try to mix anything else with that, like you do in the world to make it better, you're not making it better, you're diminishing from the white. There is no other color you can add to it, and there's nothing else white enough that you can put on to make it any more whiter. It's the ultimate purity, okay? So when people do this, they think that they're achieving something, a closeness, or they're having more of a full picture or something like that. And what they're actually doing is quite the opposite. They're robbing themselves of power and ability and things like that you can have when you're walking with God. Okay, so I got a few examples, some stories here that I can tell, and I'm going to talk about it. But a lot of times you'll see this stuff with the New Age movement. Okay, they might know about aliens and beings and things like that, and yeah, they're onto stuff that you won't even hear about in the church too situation, because they'll just deny all that stuff, and it is a reality. Okay, there are spiritual beings and things out there that are taking place, and there's good and bad. Except the bad ones are playing as the good and bad, so that they can team up with some of the ones that are pretending to be good when they're not. They're all working for bad, and the good ones would be the ones like Jesus, or like the angels, I should say. They're working for Jesus, okay? So there is a good and bad spiritual thing going on, but it's not on the level that they're looking at. They're looking at this from an alien or interdimensional beings, and they try to teach them that there is this Christ consciousness or whatever that they will achieve if they follow it or whatever, you know? So some of this New Age movement will take some of the teachings of Christianity and Jesus and look at him like a light, a spiritual leader and things like that, while also keeping their other beliefs or other things that they think are okay, and that when you put them together, you're going to have a cleaner picture of the whole thing, when really what you're doing is you're tricking yourself, you're setting yourself up for susceptibility of demonic possession and demonic influence and problems that come with that, all right? And you're not getting the whole truth out of it. You're only blocking yourself. And by mixing this, you're not following God. It's like what the Israelites were doing when they say they're following God, but they're secretly keeping idols and things like that. All right, and it's punishable big time, and it's very dangerous. But at the same time, you know, every once in a while, I'll see them that they're on to something, and I'm like, why are they on to it, and why are they not blinded? Why have they not been given over to blindness? Why are they not flat earthers by now, right? And this gets into the threads of deceit, something that I have not talked on, but I've hinted at it and talked a few more times. When you have an issue in one area, there is always a connection, just like a thread. That's why I call it that, okay? If you pull on one end, all right, it's going to come out in another place. There is a consequence. There's a price for it. And a lot of times it depends on where your heart is, where God will decide what that's going to be. The examples are, you know, in one area of belief, you start to believe it more, which is the tugging, and as you do that, you're tugging on the other end, and then this becomes final, and all of a sudden, where you started to dabble in something that was wrong, you are now a flat earther, okay? Or you start to have love of the world, more for money, more for riches, start to think that that is the walk. And as you're doing this and it's pulling the other side, all of a sudden you're going from pre-tribulation rapture to post-tribulation rapture. A lot of the times when you talk to people that are in a post-tribulation rapture or who have changed their mind and turned from it, it isn't their belief as much as their consequence, okay? And this is part of the threads of deceit that I've talked about before. And this isn't for me or for somebody that can look into somebody, okay? This is for those that don't have that. This is a way to bypass, to look for clues, to see who somebody is, okay? And so many times people will screw this up as well and start looking at their flaws or whatever. And it's like, no, that's not what it is. It's deeper than that, okay? People can have flaws all the time, and we all do. You can ask for forgiveness. You can still go to heaven. You're totally saved. And there's something else that's deeper, and it's part of your belief system, and that can pull you away, and that's far more dangerous, and it might not even show up on the surface. So you have to look for clues when things start to pull away from the Bible and Scripture and what it says and stuff like that. Some of the things that come with the mixture is there's always the counterfeit, okay? So slipping into things that you shouldn't be. Evil will show you things. It will show you powers. When people sell their soul for to be magicians and things like that, they are able, through demon possession and things like that, to reach into other dimensions, to pull off their tricks and things like that. So it is a reality, but at the same time, there's a consequence. There's always a price that comes with it, okay? There are the counterfeits, okay? But God's version is always better, okay? If they're trying to counterfeit or make it look the same, or it's the same way, or see how it all goes together, and Christianity is just an aspect of that to deceive, it's never as good. And I'll give a little example real fast. In Exodus, when Aaron throws down the staff in front of Pharaoh to make the cobra, right? And the magicians and the sorcerers and stuff like that, they throw down their staves as well. Well, what happens? They think, oh, look, it's just the same. But Aaron's staff eats up the two staffs of the magicians from Pharaoh, okay? It's obviously the superior staff in this situation because it's coming from God. And it trumps theirs, and then it gets to the point where all the things being done, they can't even come close to competing with, okay? So, but there is a reality that comes with this, with some of the new age and the beliefs and stuff that people have, or the mixtures. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because there are people out there that are watching me or others, and they're listening and saying, yeah, that's true, but it all works together. We're all part of the same thing, and we're not even close, okay? To walk as a Christian, it's a clean path. You're going to go through struggles and things like that, but there is no mixture. It's purest form when you're walking with God. It's there, and the power is there too, okay? It really is. And you don't need to mix it with anything to experience this stuff, okay? You're going to find out it's far superior. There isn't any of the consequences with aliens showing up at the end of your bed, demons and stuff like that, okay? You don't have to worry about that stuff. There isn't the hauntings. You're going to have a clear mind, and you're going to heaven, okay? You're not going to be a part of this deception and think that you're going to reincarnate and all this other kooky stuff, all right? So, I mean, like I say, all I can do is try to convince people of this and show them and stuff, but ultimately you're going to have to find that out for yourself. But I'm gonna point out a few things and a few stories here. When I was younger, this was after God spoke to me audibly, and he just called my name, and it saved me from crashing into those two girls that were going behind my truck when I was coming out of the driveway in my truck. And it was a little time after this, but I was sitting in the house, and I was looking out the window. And as I was looking out the window, I was thinking about God. I was thinking about the connection with everything, and how big it is and stuff like that. And something happened, like a chain reaction, and it started spreading like roots through everything. And I was able to perceive, and it just kept growing massively until I was able to perceive basically the entire earth, okay? As a globe, by the way. That's not flat. But there was so many senses taking place at once that I couldn't describe it. It was absolutely incredible, like a massive download of information that could be comprehended only at once. But with this incredible amount, it could only last for a second. It was too much. So it broke off. Reminds me of Stargate, when the Stargate's open and then all of a sudden it just shuts off. Like, but with it came other things. And I was watching a girl paint the other day, and she was talking about how she was born with a disability and it's super rare, you know. But people talk about in heaven being able to taste sounds or hear color and things like that, where your senses get crossed over a little bit. There was definitely a perception of color mixed with this, while at the same time, while experience, it was like a white blue that was mixed in with the senses while everything was taking off. It was amazing. This happened to me twice when I was a teenager, right? And I was thinking about God. What's the point of this story? The point is that later on, somewhere along the lines, like God always does, he shows me something. and the connection. And I was reading something on, whatever Eastern religion it is, but once you achieve or start to achieve this master level of Taoism, whether it's from Hinduism or whatever else, or Eastern religion, some of the highest levels that you could achieve, spending your entire life, of course, meditating and other things like that. The idea that they tried to explain was to comprehend a flower and its roots. And from then on, see the structuring of how it's involved with every single plant and other things throughout the world, the water system, how it goes with that. And what they tried to explain was the chain reaction that it could cause, and only in like a master's level would you be able to see it and be able to grasp its purpose inside the whole world. And what they were trying to explain was what I had happen when I was a teenager twice on accident, because I wasn't trying to do it, nor did I know what happened or what was going on. And I realized what they were doing when I was reading this, that that's what they were trying to explain. And this is after a lifetime of trying to achieve this level of Taoism, okay, this master level of meditation and things like that. And I experienced it without years and years and years of Eastern religion and nonsense trying to achieve some master level status or whatever. I achieved it as a kid just thinking about God, and I was able to see it and everything like that. Okay, the point is that that's a side note in my life. While they're achieving ultimate greatness, all right, maybe with the chance that they'll get to experience it, just a little side note. Did I have anything to do with the religion or anything like that? No, I was just thinking about God. God's version is better, it's faster, and the things that you will do are so much more greater that what others try to achieve as their mastery will be your side note, okay? Sometime after this, I was messing around with some ninjutsu meditation, okay? And I shouldn't have been at the time or whatever, but I was at this time, okay? And I was doing this Kuji Kuri meditation, right? The 9 gates or whatever. And I was with my friend, and we were trying to do the first level. And it's very difficult and extreme, and there's oxygen deprivation you got to do when you're holding your breath and stuff like that. Anyways, the point is that the result is, if you were to do it right, this power shoots up your spine, over the top of your head, and into your lower jaw, okay? And while I was doing it, all right, this is the first time, and I had to get into a lotus position, all this other stuff, you guys know what that is. And anyways, as I was doing this, I make it to this meditation, and just as it happened, I feel this power shoot up, go over the top of my head into my lower chin and things like that, okay? I asked my friend if it happened to him. No, it didn't. Well, I'm thinking, oh, cool, I must have done it right. Only to discover years later that, no, after a lifetime of practice, you can hope to achieve these. After thousands and thousands of attempts, you can hope to achieve this and hopefully feel it. Not on your first try, like what happened with me, okay? Yet again, another situation, okay, where being a Christian in my life has blessed me to experience things, all right? Was that the right thing to do? No, it wasn't. But God's been with me, and He's blessed me in a lot of different things, and He's shown me different things for purposes and things like that, okay? It was a short time after this when I was able to start looking into things and reading into people and stuff like that. And it was a gift given to me, which was taken from me for a time being. And my lesson was that I can't be a part of the world, and I couldn't have any drugs or anything like that. And I made that commitment, and it was given back to me. Okay. But another side note, I used to be a little bit on the jealous side of Bruce Lee when I was younger, okay? And, because I've always loved the art of fighting and martial arts and everything like that. One of the things that I learned was, of course, that he started training when he was 6 years old, okay? And coincidentally enough, that's when I got saved as well. But that's only something I thought about later. The point is that, I'm like, dang, he got to start training when he was younger and stuff, and he got so good. And if I could have started training when I was younger, blah, 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 I could be good. And like I say, only later to discover, that being a Christian is being a warrior. And technically my training started when I was 6 too. And mine will last forever, or his will fade away, Yet again, more important reason to walk with God. But when I was in my teenage years, and I was developing some different fighting techniques and things like that, I wanted to develop the fastest punch possibly possible. Okay, and I taught myself to fight both stances, left or right stance, and combat situation and stuff like that for street fighting. And then when in street fighting, things that I would come up with, I would apply them in combat and see how they worked and stuff like that, and I would try different ideas. But I developed this idea. It was the fastest punch, right? And the reason for it was for opening strikes. It's not to lay somebody out, but it's to get the thing rolling, okay? Or to get the eyes watered so you can move in for another strike or something along those lines, okay? So I started thinking and the body and the best way to do this and things like that, and I developed this and I started to work on it, and it works beautifully for an opening move in a fight, especially when somebody's going, you hit first, and all this other stupid stuff. I can't stand the talking. It's like, let's just get to the blows already. And so that's nice, you know. So this works incredible. But like I say, it was in the back of my mind for a long time. Well, Bruce Lee got to train when he was 6 and all this other stuff like that, right? Well, a couple of years ago, I was watching Bruce Lee, and he was at a tournament. It was some old footage and stuff like that. And he was giving a demonstration for striking and speed and things like that. And I was watching it, and he hit this thing. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty fast. And then I stopped, and I went back, and I looked. And then I looked at his stance and the way that he was, and I watched it again, and what I realized was that's the same technique that I came up with, and I never watched Bruce Lee or got it from him or anything like this. I developed this in my little shed with my punching bag, Wing Chun, speed bag, and all that other stuff, all right? God has blessed me in all kinds of different ways. All right, and yet again, another example of this, walking with God, and you can bypass years and other things like that. It's the best. When it comes to power, and if you're looking for power, you have. First off, the only reason that I've ever looked for power is because it gives you the ability to defend more people and to help more people. Okay, that's why I do it. I have a clean heart in this matter. So the more power, it's the more weight you can carry. All right, if you don't have a clean heart in this, you probably won't be granted it. God knows the heart. Okay. But he directs the path. Proverbs 16:9, okay? A man's heart deviseth his way, but the Lord directs his steps, all right? We choose a different kind of direction as we go, and God will develop it if we're walking with him even more. When I was younger, I prayed that I would be the most honorable man that has ever lived, okay? I've said it many times, go big. All right, especially with God, he can handle it. That doesn't mean big things won't be required of you, but go big, okay? While the world tells you that it's impossible to land on the moon and you're shooting for the stars, your failure to go to the stars and you land on the moon or a distant planet will leave jaws dropped because they said it was impossible to do in the first place, and you're going, shucks, I didn't make it to the stars, okay? So go big. I've aimed really, really high in my life. And I also prayed when I was younger that I'd be the greatest warrior that ever lived. Will I achieve the most honorable man or the greatest warrior? No, most likely not. But if I am aiming in that direction, I'm going to be heading in the right direction, okay? So that's what I try to do. It's like I say, You might pick the plan, you might ask for the things, God will direct the steps. He's looking in your heart, though. He's looking at the person that you are, and what your intentions are and things like that, okay? But all of this comes back to this idea of mixture with God or other things like that. When I made that prayer when I was 21, I told him, I was like, I want to know the truth on this, but even if you decide not to tell me, I'll still follow you. But whatever I learn, I know that the Bible and your word is the tree, all right? And any other texts, like Sumerian texts and things like that, if they fit, they will plug in, but it's controlled by the root. The Bible doesn't plug in, all right? It's not the other way around. What do I mean by this? Sumerian text talks about Gilgamesh, Nimrod, and stuff like that, all right? Same as the Bible, talking about the Tower of Babel and things like that. Now, according to the Bible, Nimrod wouldn't live for like a few hundred years or whatever. According to the Sumerian text, they would be living 100,000 years, okay? Both telling the same story. Which one actually fits? Well, it's the Bible one, okay? And when you put that in there, you can listen to those texts, but it always goes back. It's the same way with looking into Enoch or Jasher or anything like that. You're always comparing back to the Bible, how that fits in, okay? And that's your root, that's your tree. And you plug those things in. When people take the Bible and they mix it in to create their own funny tree, it will break, it will fall, it does not stand, okay? It is not a side note. It is the truth, the main source of it, and the other things do, okay? That's why when they found Gilgamesh's body in 2003, or when Saddam Hussein did it, and they went in there and they grabbed it out of there, all right? These aren't the dates hundreds of thousands of years old, okay? It's the dates of a few hundred and being left around for 1,000, okay? It corresponds with the Bible in its age, not the other texts, all right, that are messed up. Are they real? Yeah, sure. Greek gods and things like that. Yeah, it's all real. They're the real stories. They really happened. But where were they really when you accorded to the Bible? They would be fallen angels and giants, right? The Titans and the gods of Olympus, all right? It would be the conflict they have and their children and their offspring, okay? It's all the same stuff, but you know the truth when you read the Bible and you have that as your root, okay? And then you won't be taken away. So if any of you are out there and you're listening to this and you've done just that, you've mixed it, I'm telling you right now, okay, with personal experience as well, and that's why I brought up a few of these stories, that you can achieve even greater levels, all right, by just sticking with God. Have Him as purest form. And the more you push away from the world and the stuff that you've tried to mix in it, the wider, the hotter, and the more powerful it will become by just holding on to God. He's the best you can have. Anything else you add to it, you're only diminishing it. And this is the only time when you can do this. Everything else isn't. And it comes to religion as well, like the one world religion that they'll plant. When they add God into the mix with the other religions, no, they've just ruined the whole batch completely, okay? But when you push that stuff away and you realize that only can you be saved through Jesus Christ and that personal relationship and being in need of Him and knowing that He's your Savior that died for you, that's the only way that you get to go to heaven. There is no other way. There is no other mixtures. And when you try to drag that other stuff in, it will only drag you down. It'll only drag you away, okay? And it's a very important topic to learn about, because I've talked to many people like that. And you might have abilities, you might have things that you have, all right? But these things that you might be holding on to that you're using darker powers or forces from, they will deceive you in the long run, okay? It's going to drag you down. The real power when it comes to it from the counterfeit that you're dealing with is it's much cleaner. It doesn't have the price. It doesn't have the consequence that comes with the other stuff. That's intention is to give you just enough information, but keep you in the dark, make you think you're getting somewhere, and then ultimately burn up your time and then take you to hell. Okay, and that's what it's all about. That's what it's all for, and it is real. And for those of you that have seen it, the UFOs and 10-mile wide aircrafts and things like that, you know it's real. You know what I'm talking about. But you do not mix New Age and other belief systems, magic and witchcraft and other things like that into and try to think that you're going to be somehow a good guy, all right, or a good girl by having the whole mixture and have a cleaner picture and the whole thing. What you're actually doing is you're robbing yourself and you're deceiving yourself, and you're going to be betrayed. How some of you are able to keep your mind right now while I watch people that are supposedly Christians get completely brainwashed and put into the camp they will be left for the tribulation and stuff like that, and your mind isn't taken over yet into like flat earth and stuff. I truly do not quite understand it, and I only have one idea, and that is that there is something in you that's good that God sees, and he's still holding on to you just yet before you he's buying you some more time. Maybe you need to hear this or something else, or something. I'm not sure exactly what the deal is, but I've seen it. I've seen an intelligence that comes with some people that know stuff, but they have that mixture. And if you would just give that other stuff away, all right, the idols, just like Israel had, if you would give them away and fully walk with God, the blessing would really come, and then you would be able to. You would be able to know what it's really about, okay? And that is the personal relationship with Jesus Christ, to walk with Him. And it does lead to immortality, okay? You will live forever and go to heaven. But if you have that other stuff, make sure in there with it. You're not going to be going to a Christ consciousness. There is no reincarnation. You get to live once, okay? And then the whole thing's over with. And it's very, very serious, all right? And you might be allowed to be seeing the truth right now, to even to the point where you're looking at a flat earther or somebody else that's into some stuff and be like, well, I'm smarter than them, and it must be because I have the mixture of all this other stuff. The very reason might be that maybe you're allowed not to be blind because of that, to try to deceive you anymore. But the deception will eventually come. There's always the price for dabbling in darkness. There always is, and it's very serious. And as close as things are, you don't want to find yourself in the tribulation or left behind because you're dabbling in the wrong stuff. So be very, very careful. And hopefully this message, which is more serious, will help you out in this situation. Like I say, there's lots of deceit out there, and there's so many people out there saying there's a million different ways to get to the same goal, and there's not. There's only one way, and that is through Jesus Christ. And everything else that you tag along with you is only going to be deception. It's going to be a price. What you think is helping you float now will be what's holding you in the water, making you sink later. Okay. When it fills up, all right, and it'll be the chains that pull you down. You're not going to want to have that. Okay. So it's definitely something to think about. We don't know how much time's left. Because all I know is it's approaching closer than ever. Everything looks like it has the whole time, but only growing more and more towards this whole conflict worldwide that's going to be taking place. World War III, the tribulation, the rapture. You don't want to have anything to do with it. If there's anything that's holding you back from walking with God completely, whether it's a girlfriend, boyfriend, or anything like that, let it go now while you still can. Because time is so short, it really is, and I'm not going to beat over the bush and say, you guys already know, you've listened to me talk about all this stuff, but it truly looks like it's about to happen in this year. I keep getting confirmation after confirmation that this whole thing is really about to go down, and especially with this job, you guys know what I asked. I asked if we really are at the end, that I wouldn't have to bounce anymore from job to job. I'd be happy to talk to any coworkers and things like that need to know about God, and I would, and I have already since I've been there. And but I'm like, let's get something that's good, it's going to pay decent, everything else. And this, like I said, this job is a huge blessing. It's the one that I've been looking for years. So to me, this is just another confirmation. This is exactly what I said. Only if we're at the end, and here we are, and it looks exactly like it is that way. Okay. Like I say, if you have any baggage or anything that you tried to mix, all right, Olympic style, where you bring everybody together or something like that, there are times, and there's only really one time when you don't do that, and that is when it comes to God. God, following Jesus in its purest form, is the purest form. It's the ultimate, and you don't mix it with anything else, ever. And I learned this a long time ago, as I was trying to achieve the ultimate in power, right? I was thinking I was going to earn it somehow, all right? Through meditation or some level of knowledge that would take me to a level of unbridled power to fight the forces of darkness and things like that. And I learned a long, long time ago that to achieve any level of that I'm looking at, on the level that I'm looking at, is there is no mixture. You follow God and you wait on Him, and you do what He says, and you throw all that other stuff out. And I'm not holding any secrets when it comes to this. I want everybody to reach the top of this thing. This whole thing's been kind of a plan the whole time, anyways. And let me take you on a little journey real fast. Follow me. We're gonna walk up this ridgeline, okay? And out to the right, there's a massive valley, okay? It's huge. This valley is of the world, and there's a war taking place, but I don't want you to look at that right now. Keep following me up this trail, okay? We're going up this ridgeline, and I'm in the lead, and you're walking single file behind one another all the way to the top, okay? Now I'm going to stop, and I want you to make a right face. I want you to all look out along this plain, this valley, okay, and see the war raging on. I want you to notice the first couple things that you see, all right? 1, nobody's standing in front of you now, okay? But when you look over your right shoulder or your left shoulder, okay, what do you see? Your brother and your sister, okay, in Christ, standing beside you, okay? and wide open in front of you. What's another thing you notice? The view's better. You're not looking at anybody's backside anymore as you're going up the ridgeline, okay? And from this point on, you are now the leader, okay? You are your own leader, and you can take the valley, okay? And that's been the whole purpose of this, just to get you up to the point so that you can go off on your own and you can talk to people about God yourself, and you're going to stumble and you're going to fall, you're going to mess up with different things, okay? When I was a kid and I talked to people, there was a kid at the end of the road and he was a Jehovah's Witness, okay? And he said, if you could prove to me or show me in the Bible where it says that Jesus and God are the same, I would be a Christian. I didn't know any scripture or anything like that. I couldn't be like John 10:30 or whatever, where Jesus says me and the Father are one. All right, I couldn't do any of that stuff. So you will stumble and you'll fall, but you'll come back in your little group and you'll get stronger and you'll get to the point where you can make a difference and you're formidable on the battlefield. Okay, and when you're doing stuff like that, this stuff starts getting written down. Okay, and you're building a 401k that lasts forever, all right, in the kingdom of heaven, where moth and rust don't corrupt and eat it away, okay, and that is where you should be investing, all right. Be completely heavenly minded, all right. And that's the whole point of this. And some of you have got that. Some of you are out there, you're hitting the field like you should be, and some are still waiting on the line. So I don't know if my plan, which has been just to teach you guys as much so that you can get out there, has worked at all. But I know that there's been a few that I've talked to, and you have got the whole point of this, and that's what it's about, okay? You're not to follow anybody. You're not to follow a pastor or anything else. You're to go to God directly. You can step, when you've asked Jesus in your heart, you can step directly to the throne room. When you hit your knees and you pray to him, he hears you, okay? All right? Jesus gave us this when he died, all right? He gave us that. He's the mediator. Through him, when we pray, we talk straight to the Father in Jesus' name, okay? Because he's in us. We need to go there, all right? As adopted sons and daughters, okay? You can't achieve a higher status than this. It's going to be legendary, all right? And it is right now, okay? When we pass this test and we get to see the full thing, all right? It's going to be absolutely incredible. But all right, you have this already. But if you keep listening, and you don't apply, then you're not really doing anything. Anyways, you could know all this stuff, but it's like watching somebody weld a million times, but never actually doing it yourself. And then you do it and you've got junk all over the place, okay? Because you actually got to get your hands into it, okay? You can't just hear about it. You got to make difference. If you don't know where to start with your family, okay? There's thousands of you out there that have family members that aren't saved. So try and talk to them. And I know it's difficult, but plant seeds. Talk to them. Tell them the things that are going to happen. Tell them the future. Tell them what the tribulation is going to be like. They will remember, okay? Even if you can't get to them now, you're setting the stage for them to go, this is exactly what my loved one told me, okay? And it's all true. It's all true. This is the proof that I needed. I'm going to choose to follow Jesus, okay? And many people will, all right? And they'll cry out to him, because when times get tough, like I've said before, is when people turn to God, not when times are good, all right? Usually that's when they turn away. They start slacking and doing the wrong stuff, okay? So start there, all right? Talk to family members, all right? Especially if you can. And then if you've worked from there, all right, or if you need a break from that, then try and talk to other people. Don't push it and don't rush it. Wait and pray. Wait on the Lord and see who he sends. But if you see something or an opening or anything like that, take that chance and talk to people, because there isn't that much time, and it will be worth it in the long run to do this. Okay, it's one of the things that we can give God. All right, there's two things: free will and talking to people to because he wishes that everybody be saved, and the other is to talk to people and tell them about him and pray that they'd get saved. Because when they do, that's one more family member that you can give to him, and he wants that, okay? And that's one of the two things that we can give to God, all right? That everything else he can create and stuff like that, but free will and leading others to him, that those are a couple special things that we can show that we truly love the Father, all right? This is an important topic, okay? And it's more prevalent than people realize, okay? And that's really why I wanted to go over it. And that is this mixture. And people do it a lot. Like I say, they'll mix it, a little bit of here and a little bit of there. And they'll be like, well, I'm a Christian, I have this, but I also have a few of these things I keep on the side. Like I said before, you're only robbing yourself, and you're screwing yourself over, and it could cost you dearly later on. And you don't want to do that, okay? If you push that away, trust me, from somebody who's been looking for power their entire life, to help others and to fight the forces of evil, okay? I've told you before, what we're going to be as children of God when we go up there makes Delta Force look like a joke, okay? I told you at first it was the Navy SEAL. When I went off a cliff, then I'm like, oh, this is a sign. And then I go into the Army and I'm like, Delta Force, and now it's taken away, all right? And then I had that vision and I got to see what we become, all right? And it's absolutely legendary. And I only got to see it for about 15 seconds in that vision, all right? Okay, it's off the charts. There's nothing to compete with it. There is no Greek god or anything like that that's even close, okay? You can take out Superman, all right? It's just off the charts. But it goes even higher than that, okay? All right, and this can get into, this gets on, and I'm not, and you guys have heard me from when I was a kid praying to be the most honorable man that has ever lived or the greatest warrior that has ever lived. I don't aim low, okay? I aim high. So I'm still aiming high right now on stuff that I haven't even talked about with you guys, okay? I'm aiming to the very highest that I possibly can, and in life you only get one shot at this, okay? There is no reincarnation. There's no way you could pay me enough to try and do all this over again. Anyways, this has been the hardest walk that you could possibly imagine, okay? Once is enough. So I'm giving it everything I got, okay? With the intention of reaching the highest that I possibly can, all right? To ultimately fight the forces of darkness, which has been the goal the whole time, okay? But I'm following with God in the footsteps that I need to be and pushing the other stuff away, okay? So trust me when I tell you this from somebody who's seen it and experienced it, okay? You might have heard it from other people as well, okay? If you want the best, all right? If you want it and you're after something to make a difference to as well, then walk with God and shove that other stuff away, because you will not get any more power than that. It's already the best, and only the more that you push away, the stronger and better you will become, okay? The cleaner you are, because that starts letting his light shine even more out of you, okay? And it's no joke. I'm dead serious about this, okay? So keep that in mind when you're in your walk, or maybe you're new at the start and you still have some things that you've mixed in there as well, thinking that it's okay to have a little bit of this and a little bit of that. It's not. Push that stuff completely away, all right? I hope this helps somebody out there, and I'll catch you guys next time in the Leash. God bless. Bye.